I feel so lame because I'm going to say the classics, right? Like, Michael Myers, of course, was, one of the originals, not the original, but Leatherface, of course, is a big favorite around this house. Leatherface and Michael, that's what I love about Jason. I love that 80s camp vibe, so I think those three, because those are the big three, right? Like who, so I would say they would be
Freddy
my
Krueger. Freddy, is
yeah,
that a
but
slasher?
also he is, but I guess
Whoa,
I didn't
whoa,
put
whoa,
him
whoa.
quite in the slasher
Careful,
No.
careful.
category.
I'm sorry. He like swallows someone in a water bed and it's blood across the ceiling. Yes, he is a slasher. I
Big
mean,
Baby is the best one though of them all.
Yes, I agree. I agree there.
I have to shout out Art the Clown, obviously, modern
Mm.
day. And I'm
Mm,
also a huge Ghostface fan. So love Scream,
yes.
especially the OG Scream is my favorite. But yeah, I mean, Texas Chainsaw Massacre was like the first thing that made me fall in love with slashers. So that's a no-brainer. And it's so crazy that that one has the least, like, there's like no blood in it, but it was so horrifying.
Yeah. Definitely. So you mentioned Scream. It's interesting to look at modern slashers in the post-Scream world. That a lot of some of the best ones, like Final Girls, Freaky, Totally Killer, have a meta edge to it. So I'm kind of curious, did did you need to have that meta edge to the story, or did you feel pressure to have that?
Oh no, no. I mean, it was just a sort of a natural, natural progression because the story was about. I mean, it was sort of, you couldn't avoid it in a sense. It was a story about creation, about writing a movie, and then the movie becomes, manifests into the real world. So it was certainly no pressure to make that, because I don't even know if that is a popular trope or anything, but it just made so much sense because writing about creative people and their struggles living a creative life, I always find really fascinating, and then sort of
Mm.
coupling that with some commentary on modern day criticism. The online, the podcast culture was also an interesting way to, have all this chaos manifest through Adam, this character who is, becomes obsessed with trying to control the narrative of all things in his life. So yeah, I mean, to me, it was just an interesting way to tell stories. I like the sort of what I call the Twilight Zone approach, which is taking a relatable scenario and representing it through something sort of fantastic. So I always sort of, that seems to be a natural way that I tell stories, and Big Baby is just one of those ways.
I love that you bring up podcast culture because I'm curious because like I love the opening scene because it really sets the tone. It sets Adam's kind of already mental state. Um, how do you guys separate reviews, good and bad, from the work that you do?
I mean, I'll speak back that I'll read things, but I'm not going to read everything. I think that once I'm done with my work and it's out there in the world, if I'm happy with it, I'm happy with it. If I enjoy it, then that's it. Like it's nothing is ever going to be for everybody. Spider will read everything. I can't speak for Brandon, but I know for a fact Spider will read and watch everything that anybody writes. He knows. So yeah, for better or for worse, he can speak on why Adam Lewis was born into existence.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely pay attention to criticism. I mean, I just think it's interesting. I mean, I think I've become a little bulletproof. I'm not like the character where I freak out over it. And I think that what I try to remind myself is two things. One, if you create something that you're proud of and you feel like you've done your best work and possible under the circumstances, and you put it out into the world realizing it's not going to be for everyone. And I think that's important. I think that's a sign of successful art, is that it isn't for everyone. If it was for everyone, then you're not, there isn't a specific point of view or a message or of any kind. It becomes pretty neutered, and if everybody's like, yeah, it's cool. So I take pride in that some people love what I do and some people don't love what I do. um but ultimately you can't take any of it personally, because someone saying that you're terrible and someone saying that you're the greatest thing ever honestly are the same, because it's just somebody's opinion and it isn't reality. um
Mhm.
so you have to sort of just not ever take it personally, and just it is what it is. But it is fun to create a character that does take it personally.
What
Yeah.
about you, Brandon?
Yeah, I try. I mean, I go back and forth. It depends on the project. It depends, depends on what mood I'm in general. But yeah, I try to get an awareness, but also try not to take it personally because for the same reasons that Spider just mentioned. But then also, I love that like in the line that you wrote, Spider, where Adam is like, remember when people just like when I was a kid, we just loved things to love things. And so like we didn't have to tear it down or whatnot. And so um that's one of the things that like one of those things I try to take with me in general. It's just like for myself, just knowing whenever I'm about to, have a critique on something, just like take a moment because knowing what it takes to birth something and execute it and try to have the scales tip more towards, and I think I naturally do this towards that is an accomplishment. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And so, and similar to like, I mean, same, basically repeating what Spider said, if I know that for myself, sometimes that's the armor I need to where if you read something when someone doesn't like something, it's like,
Yeah.
hey man, I created this thing though. I did my thing and I'm super proud of that.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I,
Yeah.
I actually agree with that completely. I think that I will never talk shit about anybody's project because, I don't have to like every movie, but I love that they made it. And I love that it's so freaking hard to
Mhm.
accomplish that. So it's just like everybody deserves their props. It's their art, it's their voice. It's important to have all of those voices out there.
Yeah,
So
I mean, there is that. You can never use that publicly as an excuse. But like, there's a moment in the film where Adam is saying, like, they don't know they've never written a script. They don't know and it's true. It is very easy to sit back and criticize something, but until you've actually it's not it's not unique to movies. It's sport. What they call it, arm
Everything.
quarterbacks, where
Mhm.
some guy who couldn't, run down the block is sitting on his couch screaming at the TV, and a professional athlete made the wrong play. It's like, bro, like you try and do that. And I think that there's a similar sense of, in any kind of creation, the enormous amount of blood, sweat, and tears that go into it, and the circumstances that you're under can't never, are never favorable. There's always some problem that you have to fix, and so, yeah, like Krsy said, the fact that anything gets made is, you have to be thoughtful that it's just the fact that it exists is an incredible accomplishment. So, but without those negative voices in the world, that's like, I think we also kind of need that to spur
Mhm.
us on to to keep
Yeah.
going.
I know earlier you mentioned the classic slashers. I'm curious between Big Baby nearly drowning and then his look reminds me of Jason and Friday the 13th Part 4 when he's unmasked. So how much did Jason kind of play into creating this character?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, very little. I think maybe Adam, who played Big Baby, may have taken some Jason mannerisms, because I know he had mentioned that as sort of a somewhat of like a physicality of an influence. It's funny because the drowning thing does parallel Jason, but the drowning story is actually based on something that actually happened to me as a kid that I still
Okay.
remember. My mom sent me to the YMCA when I was probably 7 years old to take swimming lessons, and I was terrified to get into the pool because it was sort of like this big, probably Olympic sized pool, and I was just didn't want to get in. I just remember standing at the edge of the pool, kind of refusing to jump in, and then feeling somebody's hand push me in the back and me going in the pool and sinking to the bottom. And I still have clear memories of that sound of, screaming underwater, and the sound of bubbles, and, and for a moment thinking I'm going to drown, until eventually somebody pulled me out of the pool. So, even though that does have similarities to Friday the 13th, it really was born from a real experience that happened to me.
Gotcha. Gotcha. Now, this is a
Yeah.
question for Krsy and Brandon. How does working on a slasher different from other genre films?
Well, for me, I mean, the nice thing about this film in particular is I feel like it was the relationship and the drama first. So it really was important, I think, to both of us that our connection really meant something to the audience so that when it started being severed, you felt something and you wanted to like fight for these people. So I love that it wasn't just straight ahead, like, I don't know anything about this backstory. Now we're cutting everyone's head off, which by the way, I love those movies too. But this movie wasn't going to be that. And so
Mhm.
that was sort of a fun take on a slasher that I read a review, and again, I don't read a lot, but I read a review early on and they said like if you took out all the slasher elements, we would be like, a highbrow HBO drama. And I was like, that's such a compliment. Like that's amazing. That's what you hope for. You're like, okay, we don't need the horror and there's still a story there, but we also get this crazy slasher and you get to be afraid and cheer for blood and guts. So I think that that was really fun. And, obviously I've been involved in other slashers and I feel like I've been really lucky with the films I've been put in that I get to have like real moments and really act. And then I get to like do blood and guts and the prosthetics. So yeah, it's just all fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, I completely agree with that. I don't know. I mean, one of the things I loved about the script was the relationship and how that kind of uh, sucked you into the story first so that like you fall in love with these characters. So I think it makes what happens much more effective and enjoyable.
Mhm.
But I don't know between different genres, and this is something I'm still learning. And Big Baby, I think, is a big important step in like I think with any characters, I try to approach it from the same place, but also a different place of like depending on like what the fuck is this? What are we doing today? How do I just get into it? You know what I mean? So
Mhm.
but I do think that as I'm doing more horror, like each step is like a different I learned so much from it for the next one. So still trying to figure out, I don't know if there's like a differentiation between this how I would approach based on the genre yet, but I just know that I learned so much from this experience.
You're
Yeah.
scary as hell too in this. Like Brandon
Oh, I
legitimately
would love to
scared
do more. That's what I would love to do more. Scary. Just come on, let me be scary. Come on. I think I'd be a good bad guy in something
I am
Yeah.
convinced. Yeah.
one day.
Absolutely. Yeah. No, another thing that I loved about this film is the conversation it has about like retribution. Does the retribution match the crime and kind of that moral tug of war? So I'm kind of curious, like how you found yourself dipping into that with your characters as well as like writing the script.
Yeah, I mean, just the idea of that to me was interesting because it seems sort of innocent at the beginning that he's just trying to figure out how to tackle this script and then this concept of because such harm was done to this kid, are we supposed to root for him when he starts taking revenge out? But then, which all seems, like I said, pretty innocent when it's just on the page. But then, as we no spoilers, but as we get deeper into the movie, it becomes much more than that. And so now Adam is faced with a serious, really life and death dilemma on how he now does have, he is the puppet master now. He has the strings, and it's now it really is that moral decision of what punishment fits the crime, and now he is faced with how to handle that, which would be pretty daunting task. And I think that Brandon's performance certainly captures the torment that he has to go through to figure that out.
Yeah,
Yeah.
one thing I loved about it was along those lines is and hopefully I'm not giving anything away. Adam is trying to save Kate, but then Adam also, and I was trying to play with the complexity, wants to finish the work. I mean, like selfishly, like it's almost a thing like he asks for, I want a project or to create something that people see and love. And then by the end of the movie, when the podcast guys talk about the movie, they're like, we loved it. You know what I mean? It's
Yeah.
kind of like one of those wish fulfilled things where it's kind of like, yeah,
Yeah.
what do we sacrifice sometimes to also like get to that finished product? And I'm not saying, you gotta like sacrifice your morals and kill people and stuff, but like we all as creatives go through like whether that's family stuff, whether that's missing out on events sometimes because you have get pulled away or whatnot, or just time and energy that goes towards creating something. So I thought that was an interesting like Spider said, taking something that is so just normal or relative not mundane, but like, it's just a creative and then just putting this fantastical story behind it.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
funny because Brandon and Krsy both would always surprise me every day with their performance. And there's one moment, and again, this isn't giving anything away there, where like the goal is for the character Adam to finish the script to save Kate. But then when he finally finishes the script, his reaction is such that you can't tell if he's more happy that he actually finished the script or that he thinks he's actually saved Kate, because
Yeah.
he sort of has this almost like celebratory moment of all alone finishing the script, and then he remembers, oh yeah, Kate. So like, what was more important to him? You know what I mean? It's like
Yeah.
it's a kind of a almost it's subtle, but it's a funny, almost funny, like selfish moment for him to like, yeah, that he was what was more important.
And
Yeah.
Big Baby is his create. I mean, this is one of the things, like Big Baby's his baby, to
Yeah.
some degree. So there's that play. It's just complex. It's very complex.
Yeah. Well, just to kind of wrap up here, the ending kind of leaves room for more story to happen. Is there a potential a sequel idea, or is that just like you want it to this to be a contained story?
Oh no, 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 no. Like in the movie when Adam goes, I always thought a franchise property would be a good idea.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah.
So have I. So I would love to make another Big Baby. I do have ideas for where it could go because like you said, it does leave it open for like, wow, okay, what happened to these people, that went through this, and so I think there's a great story to be told now that Baby is fully unleashed into the world. Let's see what happens.